So welcome back everybody, we are Boys on Film. My name is Phil. I am joined today by my very good friend Chris, who is here to talk about Monica, which is a film that is out on the 15th of December in cinemas. So it's a film that stars Lysette, who was in Hustlers and Transparent. It stars Patricia Clarkson, Emily Browning, Joshua Close, very good cast, and it also got a 11-minute standing ovation at the Venice Film Festival. In fact, it was 11.5 minutes, which is even better. But that's pretty impressive, right?
Well, it's half a minute better than 11 minutes, that's for sure, yeah.
So let's talk about it. A portrait of a woman who returns home after a long absence to confront the wounds of her past. Mainly to do with her family, really. I mean, it's a very complex story.
And I've just got to say, we're both massive music fans. First, like as soon as it opens, she's on a sunbed, I think, wearing those little discs that you wear over your eyes, accompanied by the most wonderful soundtrack of New Order. But unfortunately, being played through the PA system of the solarium she's in. So it's not like the most optimum hi-fi quality, but like a brilliant start. I was like in love with the film from the beginning because of New Order. So
yeah, she seemed to have a really alternative stroke 80s music taste, which I thought was a really good indication of a great film to come. What
I really loved about it is, yeah, she's on this journey to go back and visit her family and to see her mother, ostensibly, and yet her everyday life, you know, that she's been leading since she left the family home kind of keeps cropping up in certain ways, you know, and it's a very, you know, it's a very ordinary life in lots of ways. Her life just as a young trans person just punctuates what her experience is, absolutely, and really kind of credibly, it really gives it depth because, you know, she's got her life that she's had to build for herself, and there's the life that she left behind, and they're kind of clashing together. And I really enjoyed those kind of little moments where her lives kind of banged into each other. So
I spoke to my partner Jeremy about this. He didn't enjoy this as much as I did. We'll come on to my verdicts at the end. But he thought that the mumbling was slightly irritating. But I liked that because it made the mood a bit more woozy.
I'm going to say intimate. I think it's got this really intimate thing. It's like, you know, you do really feel like you're spying on them or in the same house as them. There's lots of shots set up kind of through doorways and kind of framed by bits of furniture and kind of odd bits of framing where you get like people's heads cut off and stuff, you know, like those really bad holiday photos.
Oh, yeah.
But for me, that really adds to the intimacy. It's like you're kind of really drawn into this domestic situation, this family situation that she's in. And, you know, I loved that. It just really brought me in. I really felt like I was there, you know, with them, you know, feeling awkward, actually, as an onlooker as well. But, you know, really recognising what this woman's gone through and what she's going through, you know, in this situation that she's in. I was really drawn to the intimacy, really loved it.
But they do talk very, like, everyone's very kind of whispering.
Yeah, there's a bit.
It's very, like, low volume. But that made me kind of watch the film more, and I found it more absorbing in that way because
that's what I mean.
You're kind of drawn into that world. Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. It's like you're sort of overhearing this conversation in this house that you've just walked into. You kind of disturb this situation, and yet you kind of know you've been invited in because we're watching a film, but you huddle closer. Yeah, you're kind of like, oh, what was that? What did she say? You know, what's going on? I think that was really powerful for me. And yes, mumbling in films, really irritating. Gonna start a campaign to stop mumbling in films, but in this instance, really works, I think. And I've got to say that actually, visually for me, it really worked as well because I just said about the kind of framing. Lots of the shots are kind of like, and I'm going to go all kind of film critic on you again here, Phil, because I know you love this.
I do love it.
Really reminds me of like Vermeer paintings, you know, these kind of Dutch, very realistic paintings of like domestic scenes where you're kind of glimpsing through doorways and you see ordinary domestic staff and stuff going about their business.
It's funny you mentioned about the framing where, you know, somebody is at the side of the screen maybe, or the head has been slightly cut off, not in something that doesn't look aesthetically pleasing, because of course it does, but it's slightly different to what I guess a lot of filmmakers would choose to shoot in, and I think it makes it more interesting. I mean, it's not overly so though.
I was thinking it was about Instagram framing. It looked like it was kind of square images like Instagram is to me, and you know, because there's this kind of journalistic quality, it's like she's kind of journaling or telling us, inviting into her life to see us, all this stuff. It's a bit like, you know, that format, actually. I mean, look, I'm getting really poncy, but, you know, all this stuff really feeds into that sense of intimacy and being invited in for me. And the framing, the aspect ratio really does that as well, because it's like a kind of social media thing. It's like you're watching her life, you know. I think that really worked for me.
Yeah, so Monica, obviously the title of the film is based, it comes from her character's name, and she's reconnecting with her mother. With that time that they've spent apart, there's a lot of reconnecting to do, and I'm not going to spoil anything, because obviously that's what is so intriguing about the film, is that you're kind of like in that family situation, and you don't know what's coming next. I mean, it feels, some parts of it feel quite kind of ominous. You're thinking, oh, something bad is going to happen. You just sense that tension, but there's some really beautiful moments. I mean, there's some really delicate moments and heartfelt moments that are all to do with that family bond, and also the friction as well. She's
actually kind of a little bit kind of stoic a lot of the film. You know, she's holding back. You know, she's been hurt by these people before. You know, her family, who should have loved and cherished and looked after her, have clearly really hurt her with the rejection. And, you know, she's holding back. You know, she knows she needs to be there. She wants to be there. But she's holding back too. You know, she's kind of, you know, she doesn't let her feelings out like you might do in a kind of more obvious Hollywood film. You know, she's much more reserved about that. And again, that's, you know, that really drew me in. I'm just like, look, I get that. You know, you're having to sort of disguise how you really feel in this situation. It's tough for you, you know?
It also shows every aspect of the relationships and the family history as well. It shows Monica's needs, her desires.
You know, I think the journey she goes on with her brother, you know, who initially is just like, the first thing he says to her, I think, is, I didn't know what you'd look like. I mean, you know, a sibling saying that to another sibling, you know, they've grown up together, and yet he says, I didn't know what you'd look like when I saw you next. You know, I mean, they've got a lot of work to do, but they go on a great journey, I think, a really interesting journey to watch.
What a cast as well. I mean, Lysette, obviously fantastic in the lead role. I mean, such a genuine performance. I really believed her character. And also Patricia Clarkson's been nominated for Oscars in the past, and we've got Emily Browning from American Gods, Joshua Close from Killers of the Flower Moon, and Fargo. I mean, it's a really stellar cast. I mean, it's proper. I mean, you can understand if this does win awards, because it ticks all the boxes.
The performances are, as you say, incredible. I mean, I think her mother she just plays that so brilliantly. You know, cantankerous, in pain, really suffering, having all these people come into her life to kind of help her. And she claims she doesn't want the help. She's kind of doing that thing where she's denying how sick she is. And, you know, she just plays it absolutely brilliantly, you know. There's just some really amazing kind of mother-daughter, mother-sibling scenes in it that I just think, if it hadn't been that cast, it couldn't have been as powerful as it was. It really couldn't have been. Yeah,
I agree with you, actually. I mean, obviously the direction is fantastic, but it's such an important component, isn't it, of the film, that someone that delivers something that is believable and delivers those performances. So yes, star rating for Monica. I'm going to ask you first of all, Chris, what you thought of this.
For me, I'm going to go pretty high on this one. I'm going to go 4. You know, definitely a film I'll watch again. You know, just thought the performances, the direction, the art direction, just. And I keep using the same word, intimacy. You know, I just felt really drawn into the situation, you know, and had real empathy for it, and felt like I was living parts of it. You know, really, really loved it. So definitely a strong 4 from me.
Yeah, I can definitely see why it's getting such acclaim, and obviously that standing ovation as well. Absolutely. I mean, I agree with the audience there. I'm going for a 4 as well. It has a slow pace, but I think it needs that slow pace, because I think it needs room to breathe. Because it's that kind of story. Yeah.
It has to unfold.
I guess some people might not like that. They might want... But a film of this calibre, I mean, a film that is about a heartfelt drama, that is a family story, I think it needs to have that slow pace. So it's not necessarily action, but it's not that kind of film. So...
No, and again, that's another reason why, you know, these domestic situations that are unfolding in front of you, you know... If that was quick edits and stuff, that would just be showbiz, you know, that would be entertainment. And actually, this isn't about entertainment. This is about sitting with a situation that's a bit tense and a bit uncomfortable, and like just seeing what happens, you know, like real life is. I think that pace, I mean, at times when there was mumbling and it was a bit slow, I was like, come on, get on with it. But, you know, actually, you know, it pays off in the end for sure.
Excellent. So it's Monica. It's out in cinemas now. Go and see it. If you have seen it, drop a comment down below. Don't forget to subscribe. Good to see you, Chris. Thanks as always. And have a good Christmas.
And you. Happy Christmas.